Ertl is a manufacturer best renowned for their farm toys. Started in 1945, the company would go on to produce various toy vehicles on a variety of scales. Now a brand under toy maker Tomy, Ertl continues to make farm toys to this very day. In the 1990s, Ertl had their popular Farm Country line of toys, a line of 1/64 scale farm playsets featuring not only vehicles, but buildings and people. One of the largest sets released was this train set, and it is dated 1994. The set comes in this fairly compact box, and opening it up reveals a lot of very sizable pieces. The first elephant in the room with the set is everything has to be assembled. Everything is contained within bags, which contain all the pieces for each building. Assembling everything is easy, no glue required, as all parts snap together. The buildings and crossing can be built in less than a minute, and the cars take a bit longer because of the wheels and trucks being put on sprues and needed to be cut and filed to perfection. Decals are included since pretty much any color different from the molding is a decal. Only thing in this set that comes assembled is this locomotive. The couplers are included in the box, and it's just a press fit into the locomotive body. The locomotive is actually a fairly good representation of a Sioux Line GP35, with the locomotive having plenty of detail and really excellent printing. The locomotive carries the number 4403, a real number carried by a Sioux Line locomotive, although it was a GP38, not a 35. It is also worth noting that the designer of this locomotive did do their homework and did not put dynamic brakes on this locomotive, a characteristic of Sioux Line diesel locomotives, although they did forget the exhaust stack for some reason. Also, contrary to what some have said online, this locomotive does not come with handrails. The locomotive's cab can be tilted at an angle to remove it to fit an included crew inside. The cab interior is nothing to write home about, but it's a welcome addition. The locomotive receives power from two C-cell batteries inserted into the fuel tank on the bottom. Now, this switch on the top is not your on-off switch. This is your direction switch, and the on-off switch is actually this first radiator fan here. The locomotive is driven through only the rear truck with a pretty decent amount of torque and has a traction tire on all four wheels of the truck. The boxcar in this set is a pretty simple thing. It's 4 walls, 2 doors, a floor, a roof, and 2 trucks. The doors open and close, and the roof never sat flush on mine, so I elected to glue it to the car instead of leaving it removable. Interestingly, on the box, this boxcar is shown to have white sides and a blue roof and doors. I assume this version never came out and was just a prototype, as I've never seen a photo of a white boxcar. The flat car is by far the easiest car to assemble. It's just 2 trucks in the car body. The car has little holes in the sides to grab onto these little plastic pieces to hold tractors onto this car. The caboose is by far the most detailed car in the set, with a full interior for crews. It's also the shortest car in the set, and the roof can be removed, much like the locomotive and boxcar. All train cars in this set use the same truck design, with a central pivot with a coupler attached with 2 side frames and 2 axles in the middle. It's a very easy assembly, although you may have to cut some stuff off the sprues and file down any unnecessary plastic that may prevent these wheels from rolling. Y'all probably just want to see this thing run, so I'll get through the other stuff here pretty quickly. There's a large warehouse-looking building that simply clicks together, although the doors feel sloppy due to them being held on only by the top railing. You can also slide them out if you push them for a while, which is kind of amusing to me. There's also this loading platform of some sort. It's very ugly and only has this single sticker. You're supposed to put these barrels and crates on it for loading into the boxcar, and those look fine, I guess. There's also this bumper stop with a ramp, and this is how you're supposed to roll the tractors onto the flat car. These little tractors are made of a couple different pieces, and just like everything in this set, click together with ease. The set also includes a variety of railroad accessories like signs and signals. They're nothing to write home about, but they're pretty stock standard train set stuff. The most interesting thing I have to report here is that all the details are decals. The set now includes 4 figures to interact with this train, 2 train crew and 2 loading crew. They're actually really nicely painted and made of this soft rubbery plastic. They also have this little forklift with no detail that at least has a working fork, so that's sort of neat, I guess. The set contains 16 pieces of track, 9 long curves, 2 short curves, a re-railer, a straight, a crossing, a switch, and that end piece I mentioned earlier. This track is kind of terrible. The quality is good, but the track geometry is very questionable. Like, why do we need a short curve on top of 4 regular curves? You can't make a 90-degree curve or a square track if you felt like it because of this strange decision. The most infuriating thing is that the track only goes together one way. You can't make an S-curve or flip a curve around. It has to go together one way. Major misstep here. There are 2 track sections that you have to assemble yourself. The switch and the crossing. The switch is made up of the switch itself, the frog, and the throw. It goes together quite easily and doesn't derail the trains. I used a rubber mallet to tap the frog flush with the rail, and that helped a lot. The crossing is made up of a pressure plate, the base, and a crossing gate. It very much functions like the same sort of crossings you would find in old lifelike and Bachmann train sets. Setup is super easy. It takes about a minute, and there's really not that much to this whole set in the end. A loop a track with the siding. Putting the train on the track, I will say I was expecting it to be faster. The couplers in this set are non-functional and require you to lift one over the other. The locomotive runs in forward and reverse for switching, I guess, and that really emphasizes the lack of functional knuckle couplers. The train tracks reliably, but it's just so dull and barren to look at. It's very clear that this is a set that's very much meant to go with other sets, but if you just have the one, it's quite boring to look at. This set is claimed to be 1/64th scale, and the dimensions of the locomotive support this. So small die-cast cars from brands like Hot Wheels, Matchbox, Tomica, and Auto World fit very well with this train set. 164 in the train world is S-gauge, pioneered by the Cleveland Model and Supply Company back in the 1930s. This train is fully compatible with not only S-gauge track, but it will actually couple with American Flyer knuckle couplers if you kind of force them together. Some of the cars are even dead ringers for attempted copies of post-war American Flyer tooling. This is a weird train set. There's no getting around that. It's a release for a line that I very much would not associate trains with. It's a good train, but it lacks the expandability of just about every other train toy I've looked at. This set was the only time Ertl would release anything train-related in this line, and it's got dumb track geometry, and the tracks only being able to line up one way is a massive letdown. However, the train itself is fairly well detailed and actually lettered for a real-world railroad. The locomotive even has reverse. That's something you just don't see often with toy trains. Little snap-together kits are great fun to put together, and while the accessories look quite bland and uninteresting, it's fun to have a lot of them. And of course, this set's best feature is its compatibility with S-gauge. So we're going to do something new here, and I'm going to start ranking these trains in a tier list to help people interested make informed decisions on them. I put a couple familiar faces in this tier list here, and where am I going to put the Farm Country Railroad? Well, I think it's a solid C tier. Right in the middle. There's a lot of good here, but there's a couple big issues that I mentioned earlier. It's an alright train set, but considering how much it seems to go for online these days, it's not worth it.